Hi all, welcome to the Prelims PYQ analysis series of Shankar IAS Academy. This is Arun, faculty of Geography, Shankar IAS Academy, Chennai. So when you look at the past 10 years of UPSC questions, starting from 2015 to 2024, you will have an understanding how and from where and at what depth UPSC is asking questions from various subjects. So today we'll have a discussion on geography in prelims. And when you take account of the questions of geography from 2015 to 2024, there were around 150 questions were asked from geography. 150 questions for the past 10 years. And from where or which part of geography these questions asked. And when you talk about the areas of geography, there is these 150 questions which have been asked for the past 10 years. There were questions from conventional areas and non-conventional areas. What I mean by conventional areas and non-conventional areas. Conventional areas are those part of geography that you learn it from NCERT or all the standard books, whereas the non-conventional areas are the areas that are coming from the current affairs map-related questions. So let's have a discussion on geography in prelims. As far as the count of questions are concerned, there were questions from the conventional part. That was a total of 52 questions were asked from the conventional part, basically from world geography and geography of India. And the non-conventional part, that is the map and current affairs related questions, there were around 98 questions. So totally 150 questions from geography. And what is this conventional part of geography? So conventional part of geography can be broadly classified into world geography and Indian geography. And as far as this area is concerned, world geography had a count of 31 questions and Indian geography had a count of 21 questions. So what type of questions were asked? Basically, there were two types of questions were asked. The one type of question is there were simple questions with lengthy statements. And the second type of questions were there were three statement based questions. So these are the two types of questions asked. And what is the trend of the question? The trend of the question of geography, or the question is coming from geography, especially the traditional areas, it is more conceptual and it is more applied in nature. It is slowly moving towards the applied side. Within the part of world geography, we have the general geography or fundamentals of Earth. We have climatology and world climatic regions, oceanography and geomorphology part. So let's begin the discussion with the general geography, that is the Earth fundamentals. So this part of the subject carries the preliminary aspects of the study. That is, it talks about Earth as a planet in our solar system, size and shape of the planet, the movement of the planet, which include rotation, revolution, their impacts, latitudes and longitudes, international dateline. And this area of the subject, most of you might have studied just before the geomorphology introductions. And UPSC asked 3 questions for the past 10 years from this particular part of the subject. One was in 2019, second one was in 2022, third one was in 2024. So let's begin the discussion of the world geography questions. In general geography, the syllabus goes like this: as an Earth fundamentals, Earth as a planet in our solar system, size and shape of the planet, movement of Earth, which means there is a rotation, revolution, their impacts, latitudes, longitude, time calculation, and international dateline. So this is the part of the Earth fundamentals that we usually study just before the geomorphology introductions. So were UPSC focused in this particular part? So in the Earth fundamentals, the focus area of UPSC was especially the part of the revolution, tilt in the axis of Earth, length of the day and night, how this length of the day and night is varying, important latitudes like equator, Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, Arctic Circle, Antarctic Circle, seasons, overhead sun, rotation and Coriolis forces. So these were the focused area where UPSC covered or asked questions from the fundamental concepts of Earth or general geography. So there were 3 questions, as I mentioned. One question was asked in 2019. It was like this: on 21st June, the sun does not set below the horizon at the Arctic Circle, does not sit below the horizon at Antarctic Circle, shines vertically overhead at noon on the equator, shines vertically overhead at the Tropic of Capricorn. So this was the first question of this particular trend. And after 2 years, UPSC again asked from the same concept a different question. In the northern hemisphere, the longest day of the year normally occurs in the first half of the month of June, second half of the month of June, first half of the month of July, second half of the month of July. It was in 2022. And in the year 2024, this was the question: on June 21 every year, which one of the following latitude or latitudes experiences a sunlight of more than 12 hours? And there were equator, Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, Arctic Circle. Select the correct answer using the codes given below. 1 only, 2 only, 3 and 4, and 2 and 4. So when you see this, when you look at this particular questions, that is the 3 questions which were asked in 2019, 2022, 2024. 3 questions. They were asked from the same concept. That too, there is a speciality, like they asked or they concentrated in the northern hemisphere condition, which means they are concentrated on the date of June 21. So for answering these questions, some of the questions are very easy. Some are having some tricky nature, that is especially asked in 2024, and 2019 question were also almost similar that. So for answering this particular question, an aspirant should have a thorough understanding about the revolution of Earth, the tilt in the axis, and how Earth is revolving, and how this tilt and the tilted axis revolution causes variations in the length of day and night between northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere, and how it impacts the different seasons that appears in north and south. So this understanding is required for correcting these questions. So let's have the discussion on the first question that is asked in 2019. On 21st June, the sun does not set below the horizon at the Arctic Circle, does not set below the horizon at Antarctic Circle, shines vertically overhead at noon or the equator, shines vertically overhead at the Tropic of Capricorn. So an aspirant should have to know that on 21st June, where exactly the vertical rays of solar radiation is going to strike, or the right angled solar radiation is going to strike on 21st June, which means the sun keep on revolving around the earth keep on revolving around the sun by taking 365 1/4 day. And on 21st June and 23rd September, it will be the vertical solar radiation will be striking directly at right angled over the equator. And all the other days in a year, sun will be either in the northern hemisphere or in the southern hemisphere. And this particular day, that is the 21st June, the position of sun will be there in the northern hemisphere, exactly over the Tropic of Cancer, 23.5 degree north. So an aspirant would have this idea, can easily clear this question. So let's go to the options. On 21st June, the sun, I'll start with the D, shines vertically overhead at the Tropic of Capricorn. Tropic of Capricorn is 23.5 degree south latitude, which is located in the southern hemisphere. There is no possibility, so you can easily eliminate the D option. So second, that is a C option, shines vertically overhead at noon on the equator. So overhead sun at noon on the equator. This is possible only on 2 days, that is the equinox days. So that is also not gone. That is also not a correct answer. The B, that is does not set below the horizon at Antarctic Circle. That question or that statement is regarding the Antarctic Circle, which is located in the southern hemisphere, which means southern hemisphere will not be able to see the sunlight, especially that Antarctican circle, or within that Antarctican circle or south polar regions will not be able to the sunlight during this time, especially on 21st June. Option A, does not set below the horizon at the Arctic Circle, which means Arctic Circle is located in the northern hemisphere. So that part of the earth will keep on receiving or experiencing sunlight even though it rotates continuously, which means rotation in all the places, rotation will not result an alternative day and night like how we experience in the tropics. So here the answer is option A. And in the next year, that is the 2022, the question was like this. In the northern hemisphere, the longest day of the year normally occurs in the. So it was related to the previous year, 2019 question. This is a bit easy question, that in the northern hemisphere, the longest day of the year normally occurs in the option A, first half of the month of June, second half of the month of June, first half of the month of July, second half of the month of July. So again, they focused the 21st June. The longest day in the northern hemisphere is experienced on 21st June. So the option answer is second half of the month of June. The third question that came up in 2024, on June 21st every year, which one of the following latitudes experiences a sunlight of more than 12 hours? So more than 12 hours is asked, which means if a latitude have to experience more than 12 hours of day, especially in the north. The third question was asked in 2024, and the question was like this: on June 21 every year, which of the following latitude or latitudes experiences a sunlight of more than 12 hours? And there are areas like equator, Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, Arctic Circle, and select the correct answer using the codes given below. And when you see the question, here also UPSC focused June 21. So an aspirant who's having a clear-cut idea regarding the revolution, tilt, and the vertical solar radiation and the hemisphere will get an understanding like on 21st June where the sun is positioned. So on 21st June, the position of the vertical solar radiation will be over Tropic of Cancer, which is 23.5 degree north latitude. So on this particular day, when the sun is over Tropic of Cancer, which among the following regions have the exposure of sunlight more than 12 hours? Which means I'll start with the equator. Equator is not having the capacity of receiving that 12 hours of continuous or more than 12 hours of daylight. Tropic of Cancer, which means on 21st of June, the vertical solar radiation strikes over Tropic of Cancer. For finding out the exact correct answer from all these questions or from these fundamental concepts, an aspirant needs to know exactly the revolution, the concept of revolution of Earth, the concept of the tilt in the axis, the apparent migration of the sun in between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, and when and at what time of the year the vertical solar radiation strikes over Tropic of Cancer, equator, Tropic of Capricorn, and how this movement is taking place, and how it impacts the varying length of day and night in the northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere, and how the seasonal dynamism is produced in the north and south. So an aspirant needs to know all these concepts thoroughly to find out the correct answer from these questions. Since UPSC asked the questions thrice for the past 10 years from the same concept, same hemisphere, so there are possibilities of asking questions again from the same area. So in the part of atmosphere, we'll be studying about the basic concepts of climatology, like the composition, structure, insulation, temperature, pressure, atmospheric circulation, planetary winds, cyclones, anticyclones, water in the atmosphere, world climatic regions. These are the syllabus of climatology or atmosphere in a nutshell. So from this area, in fact, the climatology or the atmospheric area, this is the area in the world geography where UPSC asked most of the questions. In fact, almost 17 questions were asked for the past 10 years from this part of the subject, climatology. So let's have a discussion on these questions. So in 2024, this was one question. So what is the question? Consider the following statements. Statement 1. Thickness of the troposphere at the equator is much greater as compared to the poles. Statement 2. At the equator, heat is transported to great height by strong convectional currents. which one of the following is correct in respect of the above statements? So from the question itself, we can identify from where UPSC has framed this question. By seeing the question itself, these are fundamental questions of atmosphere or climatology which are asked from NCERT. So what are the options here? Both statement 1 and statement 2 are correct, and statement 2 explains statement 1. Both statement 1 and statement 2 are correct, but statement 2 does not explain statement 1. Statement 1 is correct, but statement 2 is incorrect. Statement 1 is incorrect, but statement 2 is correct. So what the concept is? So we know that troposphere is the lowermost layer of atmosphere, which spans around 18 kilometers at the equator, 13 kilometers in the mid-latitude, and 6 to 8 kilometers at the polar region. So its height varies according to the latitude. It is maximum at the equator. And here exactly what UPSC asked is, what is the reason behind the maximum height of troposphere at the equatorial region? And the second statement says that at the equator, the heat transported to great height by strong convectional current. So let's come into the discussion. Troposphere, since it's being the lowermost atmospheric layer, it's just like a balloon. How much air I pump into a balloon, the balloon can be expanded like this. So very similar to this, troposphere is also like a balloon. How much heat is convected into this air, that troposphere, the tropopause can expand, troposphere can expand like this. So the height of the troposphere is directly determined by the convection cells that are developing from the Earth's surface. In which regions I have maximum convection, I can expect maximum height of troposphere there. Where I can expect maximum convection, where I receive most of the amount of incoming solar radiation. So here the question is regarding the height of the troposphere and the reason behind that. So thickness of the troposphere at equator is much greater as compared to the poles. And second statement is, at the equator, heat is transported at great height by strong convectional current. So here the answer is both statement 1 and statement 2 are correct, and statement 2 explains statement 1. That is the right answer. Come to the second question. Consider the following statements. Statement 1, the atmosphere is heated more by incoming solar radiation than by terrestrial radiation. Statement 2, carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases in the atmosphere are good absorbers of long wave radiation. So again, question is from climatology, the basic understanding, and the material is NCERT, 11th standard NCERT, that is the material. So here the question is, the atmosphere is heated more by incoming solar radiation. So you have to be very careful about each and every word UPSC uses. The atmosphere is heated more by incoming solar radiation than by terrestrial radiation. That is a statement. So is that the statement right? Atmosphere is heated more by the incoming solar radiation. We know that atmosphere is highly transparent for the incoming shortwave solar radiation, but it is more opaque to the long wave outgoing radiation. So the first statement is not a right statement. Statement 2, carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases in the atmosphere are good absorbers of long wave radiation. So carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases like methane, water vapor, all these are like a blanket, and they will have a blanket effect which blocks the outgoing terrestrial radiation. So that is also a correct statement. So that is a correct statement, but the first statement was not a correct statement. So if this first statement was like this, the atmosphere is heated by incoming solar radiation as well as outgoing terrestrial radiation, if that was the statement is a true statement, because the upper layers of the atmosphere are heated by photochemical actions, like thermosphere, and the stratosphere are heated by the incoming solar radiation. So but here this wording is, it is like it's a comparison between incoming solar radiation and outgoing terrestrial radiation. The atmosphere is heated more by incoming solar radiation than terrestrial radiation. That made it a wrong statement. So here the answer is statement 1 is wrong. Statement 1 is incorrect, but statement 2 is correct. Answer is D. Next one, with reference to the Earth atmosphere, which one of the following statement is correct? Again, one more question from the atmosphere asked in 2023. The total amount of insolation received at the equator is roughly about 10 times of that received at the poles. Infrared rays constitute roughly 2/3 of the insolation. Infrared waves are largely absorbed by water vapor that concentrated in the lower atmosphere. Infrared waves are a part of the visible spectrum of the electromagnetic waves of the solar radiation. Here the question is a bit more technical than the previous two questions. The thing is, an aspirant need to have an understanding regarding the incoming solar radiation and the solar spectrum, especially all the spectrum like gamma, X-rays, UV, ultraviolet, visible spectrum, radio waves, all these. An aspirant need to have an understanding about these waves of the solar radiation. So what is the first one? The total amount of the incoming solar radiation received at the equator is roughly about 10 times of that received at the poles. It is not. It is 5 times of that received at the poles. Option B, that is, the infrared rays constitute roughly 2/3 of the insolation. Infrared rays constitute roughly 2/3 of the insolation. It is not. It is nearly 50%. That is a 1/2. It is nearly 50%. And option C is infrared waves are largely absorbed by the water vapor that is concentrated in the lower atmosphere. Yes, infrared rays are, when the incoming solar radiation passes through the troposphere, the water vapor which is present in the troposphere are good absorbers of near infrared radiation. So option C is a right statement. Option D, let's have a look at the option D. Infrared waves are a part of the visible spectrum of electromagnetic waves of solar radiation. It's not. Visible spectrum is, we know that it is a VIBGEOR. So here the answer is option C. In 2022, there was another question. It is regarding the clouds. Again, another question from the atmosphere, that is the water in the atmosphere part. Consider the following statement. High clouds primarily reflect solar radiation and cools the surface of Earth. Low cloud have a high absorption of infrared radiation emanating from the Earth's surface, and this causes warming effect. Which one of the statement given above is or are correct? So here an aspirant need to have an understanding regarding how the heat is transferred through the Earth's atmosphere. How the incoming solar radiation is coming, how it is heating up the Earth's surface, how the Earth's surface is giving back this radiation back to the space. Totally this part of the discussion is about the heat budget of atmosphere. So here the statement 1 is high cloud primarily reflect solar radiation and cools the surface of Earth. We know that high clouds are made up of sparse ice crystals, which are incapable, or they are passive reflectors. So most of this reflection of the solar radiation is done by the dense, lower, thick clouds, which are made up of so much of water molecules. So thick, lower clouds are good reflectors of the incoming solar radiation, and they have that credit of cooling the Earth's surface. Second statement is low cloud have a high absorption of infrared radiation emanating from the Earth's surface, and this causes warming effect. It is not. It is done by the high clouds. So here the answer is option D, neither 1 nor 2. In the year 2023, there was a question. Consider the following statements. Statement 1, the temperature contrast between continents and ocean is greater during summer than in winter. Statement 2, the specific heat of water is more than that of the land surface. Which one of the following is correct in respect of the above statements? So that is a question. So here UPSC is testing the understanding of an aspirant on the differential behavior of land and water when an equivalent amount of incoming solar radiation is received. So here we know that there is a land and water behaves differently during the summers and winters. If it is a summer, land will be hotter, whereas the water will be cooler. When it is a winter season, land will be extremely cold, whereas the water will be relatively warmer. So this condition is there. So these things are from the NCERTs. These are the very fundamental things in the climatology, in the heat distribution, distribution of temperature, isotherms. All these are the fundamental things which are there in the NCERT. So this question is also basically from NCERT. So here the answer is, the first statement is the temperature contrast between continent and ocean is greater during summer than in the winter. That is a right statement. And the second statement is the specific heat of water is more than that of the land surface. That is also a true statement. In 2024, there was a question like, which of the following is or are correct inference or inferences from isothermal maps in the month of January? Again, there is another question regarding the distribution of temperature. The distribution of temperature between land and water, oceans and continent throughout the world, which was depicted by the isotherms. So first statement is the isotherms deviate to the north over the ocean and to the south over the continent. Second statement, the presence of cold ocean current, Gulf Stream and North Atlantic drift make the North Atlantic Ocean colder and the isotherms bend towards the north. Select the answer using the codes given below. So the questions are like this. So the question is, which one of the following is or are correct inference or inferences from the isothermal map in the month of January? What is isotherm? Isotherms are imaginary lines connecting places having equal atmospheric temperature. So if throughout the globe, if the temperature is uniform, isotherms within a specific latitude, isotherms will be following that latitude very parallelly. But it is nowhere it is there. The temperature distribution varies from place to place and from season to season and from time to time. And because of this isotherms will have a tendency to have a fluctuations all the time. And especially when an isotherm encounter the junction of a land and water, obviously there will be a fluctuation or a bending of isotherm can be expected. So here the question is, the statement is the isotherm deviate to the north over the oceans and to the south over the continents. So here within the question there is a month is also specified, that is a January. You can see that January is specified. So January means in the northern hemisphere, we can take the hemisphere as a northern hemisphere. During January month, northern hemisphere will be under the winter season, which means during January the vertical solar radiation or the sun's position will be in the southern hemisphere. That is a south of equator, which means northern hemisphere, the amount of incoming solar radiation reaching in the northern hemisphere is less compared to southern hemisphere. We experience less intense solar radiation, we experience low temperature conditions, we experience winter season. So during this time, what will be the behavior of continent and ocean in their temperature? And based on that, isotherms will have a fluctuation. We are in the winter season in the January. As I mentioned, as I mentioned in the previous question, during January, during winters, land will be very cold, water will be warmer. So isotherms will be having a tendency to fluctuate poleward over the oceanic atmosphere, and isotherms will have a tendency to bend equatorward over the continent in the northern hemisphere. So let's come to the statement once again. The isotherm deviate to the north over the ocean and to the south over the continent. Yes, that is true. The second statement, the presence of cold ocean currents, Gulf Stream, North Atlantic drift make the North Atlantic Ocean colder and the isotherms bend towards the north. That statement construction itself is a very blunder. See that you can see that the presence of cold ocean currents, and they have given the example as a Gulf Stream and North Atlantic drift. Both the ocean currents are examples of warm ocean currents. So here this answer is, select the answer using the codes given below. Answer is 1 only, the correct answer. It was asked in 2024. Next question, asked in 2015. Consider the following statements. The winds which blow between 30 degree north and 60 degree south latitudes throughout the year are known as westerlies. The second statement, the moist air masses that causes winter rain in the northwestern regions of India are part of the westerlies. Which one of the statement given above is correct? Here, UPSC has clubbed the basic concepts in climatology, that is a concept regarding the planetary winds. Here it is mentioned as a westerlies, and Indian climate. There is a wind mechanism in the Indian climate which is called as a western disturbance, which induces rainfalls in the northwestern states of India. So both the concepts have been clubbed together. So what is the first statement? The wind which blow between 30° north and 60° south latitudes, which means two hemisphere there is a wind. The statement says that there is a wind. The wind which blows between 30° north and 60° south latitudes throughout the year are known as westerlies. So that is a wrong statement. Westerlies are a wind system that blows between 30-35° latitude to 60-65° latitudes of northern hemisphere, or 30-35° latitudes to 60-65° latitudes of southern hemisphere. So they are hemispherical winds. So that made the first statement wrong. Second statement is the moist air mass that causes winter rain in the northwestern regions of India is a part of the westerlies. It is not a part of the westerlies. These are caused by extra tropical cyclones which are carried by subtropical westerly jet streams towards India. So which of the statements given above is or are correct? The answer is D, neither one nor two. So this was asked in 2015. Another question in 2024. With reference to the Coriolis force, which of the following statement is or are correct? First statement is it increases with increase in wind velocity. Second statement is it is a maximum at the poles and it is absent at the equator. So this is from the basic fundamentals of Earth rotation, and it is clubbed with the climatological concept. So Coriolis force is an imaginary force which is an inertial force which is the result of the rotation of Earth, and that too the differences in the angular velocity between the equator and the high latitudes. That is the reason behind the appearance of Coriolis force. So here the statement one is it increases with increase in the wind velocity. Coriolis deflective forces are a force that is a result of the rotation of Earth, which can cause the direction or the deflection of any freely moving object in the Earth, whether it is a river, an ocean current, an atmospheric wind, anything can be influenced by the Coriolis deflection. So statement one is it increases with increase in the wind velocity, and this deflection caused by the Coriolis force increases. Coriolis deflection increases as the velocity of the object increases. So here the first statement is a true statement. Second statement is it is a maximum at the poles and it is absent at the equator. Coriolis force is 0 at the equator and it is maximum in the polar region. That is a true statement. So here both the statements are true. Select the answer using the codes given below. Here the answer is C. That is both 1 and 2. So for getting this question corrected, an aspirant need to have a thorough understanding about the forces affecting the winds. There are basically 4 forces which affect the movement of winds. One is the pressure gradient force, second one is a Coriolis force, third is a frictional force, fourth is obviously gravity. So these are the forces that affect the moving winds, and their interactions results different sets of winds and their behavior. So it was asked in 2024. Another question 2020. Consider the following statements. One is jet streams occurs in the northern hemisphere only. Second statement, only some cyclones develop an eye. Third statement, the temperature inside the eye of a cyclone is nearly 10 degrees Celsius lesser than that of the surroundings. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? So 3 different statements. One statement is regarding jet streams. Second statement is regarding cyclones and the eye. third statement is regarding the temperature differences between an eye of the cyclone and its surroundings. So this is also a fundamental concept in climatology that you can get it from the NCERTs. So jet streams occurs in the northern hemisphere only. That is a wrong statement. Jet streams are high tropospherical winds, high velocity winds in the troposphere or upper troposphere that blows from west to east in both the hemisphere. We have four permanent stronger jet streams. One is a subtropical jet streams in both the hemisphere, polar jet streams in both the hemisphere. Then we have the tropical easterly jet streams as a temporary jet streams. So an aspirant need to have an understanding about all these, their development, their impact, their influences. Then the second statement talks about only some cyclone develop an eye. We have cyclones like a tropical cyclone, we have a temperate cyclones, we have large cyclones, we have very small cyclones, and within this eye formation can only be expected in the tropical cyclones. Next one is the temperature inside the eye of a cyclone is nearly 10 degrees Celsius lesser than that of the surroundings. The eye of the cyclone, there are some specialities of the eye of the cyclone. Eye of the cyclones are the centers of the cyclone with the highest temperature, lowest pressure, calm weather, cloudless condition, and fair weather condition. So the specialities of the eye or the important features of the eye have to be known for correcting this statement. So here the answer is 2 only. 2019, there was another question like, why are dewdrops not formed on the cloudy nights? So what are dewdrops? Dewdrops are a type of condensation which are normally forms when a very clear and transparent sky is observed during the night. So here let's see what are the options here. Why are dewdrops are not formed on a cloudy night? Option A, clouds absorb the radiation released from the Earth's surface. Clouds reflect back the Earth's radiation. The Earth's surface would have a low temperature on cloudy night. The cloud deflect the blowing wind to ground level. So this is a concept from the fundamentals of climatology. That is, you can find these things in the water in the atmosphere chapter of NCERT. So again, another NCERT based question, and here the answer is like, when atmosphere is full of clouds or full of water vapor, the transparency of the atmosphere will be affected largely. And if there is a more clouds or more water vapor, the terrestrial radiation which is being released from the Earth's surface will not get released easily. So that heat energy will get trapped here on the surface. And for the formation of a dewdrops, a type of condensation, what I need is there is an easy release of heat energy and a faster cooling of the Earth's surface, which won't be possible during a cloudy night. And here the reason for, when the terrestrial radiation start radiating from the Earth's surface, the cloud will have a tendency to reflect it back to the Earth's surface. So that heat will be trapped over here, and there is no possibility for dew formations on these cloudy nights. So answer here is a B. 2019, another question. In the context of which of the following do some scientists suggest the use of cirrus cloud thinning technique and the injection of sulfate aerosols into the stratosphere? So again, a concept of a climatic engineering. This one, but an aspirant who have a thorough understanding about the condensation types of clouds, then temperature distribution, factors influencing the temperature distribution, global warming. If you have an understanding about all these things, you can easily find out the answer here. Even though you don't have a perfect understanding about the cirrus cloud thinning technique, there is a key in the question itself. Sulfate aerosols, sulfur content in the atmosphere. Sulfurs are good reflectors of the solar radiation. So let's see the options. Creating the artificial rain in some regions, reducing the frequency and intensity of tropical cyclones, reducing the adverse effect of the solar wind in the earth, reducing the global warming. And obviously, as I mentioned, there is a clue in the question itself. So the answer goes to D. 2019, this question was asked. Then another question, consider the following statements. In the tropical zone, the western sections of the oceans are warmer than the eastern sections owing to the influence of the trade winds. So, statement carefully, read it carefully. In the tropical zone, between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, the western sections of the ocean, western part of the ocean, if we are taking the Atlantic Ocean, especially that part of the Brazil, sections of the oceans are warmer than the eastern sections of ocean, that is the African side of Atlantic Ocean, owing to the influence of trade winds. So the causative factor is mentioned in the statement as a trade wind, which means the crux of the statement is trade wind makes the western side of Atlantic Ocean warmer and eastern side of Atlantic Ocean cooler. Comes to the second statement. In the temperate zone, westerly makes the eastern sections of the ocean warmer than the western sections. So statement is in the temperate zone. So beyond tropical areas, that is the westerlies band. In the temperate zone, westerlies make the eastern sections of the ocean, that is the European side of Atlantic Ocean. Westerlies makes the European side of Atlantic Ocean warmer than the US side of Atlantic Ocean, western side of the section. Which of the statement given above is or are correct? Here, the question is a bit applied type. That is, the concept is from the Climatology NCERT material, and here this the question is, the statements are regarding the planetary winds of trade and westerlies, their impact on the temperature distribution within the ocean water. It's not regarding the coastal areas. They are asking the ocean water temperature and the planetary winds. So westerlies, we know that westerlies are the planetary winds in the mid latitude. This blows from west to east, so lashes the warm surface water from the western side of the ocean towards the eastern side of the ocean, and that causes an upwelling of the cold water in the western side of the ocean. So westerlies are capable of making the western side of the ocean cooler, and eastern side, you can see that all these warm water will be swept by the westerlies towards the European regions, and they causes a piling up of the warm water there, and westerlies have the credit of making the eastern side of the oceans warmer. When come to the trade wind band, trade winds are planetary winds in the tropical latitude blowing from east to west, and they sweep the Atlantic Ocean from the African side towards the Brazilian side, which means they are capable of sweeping that warm water from the eastern side of Atlantic Ocean towards the western side, which means they are capable of removing the warm water from the eastern side of Atlantic Ocean. They causes an upwelling of the water there, that is a cold water, and all these warm water will start piling up in the Brazilian side, which means the western side of Atlantic Ocean, which means trade winds are capable of making the western side of Atlantic Ocean or western side of the ocean warmer and eastern side cooler. So here the answer is both 1 and 2. Next question, in the South Atlantic and Southeastern Pacific region, the tropical latitudes, cyclones do not originate. What is the reason? So for answering this question, you need to have an understanding regarding the favorable conditions for the formation of tropical cyclones. There are certain conditions spanning from a vast oceanic atmosphere with a temperature greater than 27 degrees Celsius, enough Coriolis force, low vertical wind shear, a pre-existing low pressure area, intertropical convergence zone, enough water vapor content. All these are some of the most favorable conditions for the formation of tropical cyclones. So one thing is noted, tropical cyclones are the cyclones that develops from 4 degree to 30 degree latitudes in the tropical areas. But within this latitudinal zone itself, all the places is not having the capacity to produce tropical cyclone, especially those regions of South Atlantic Ocean. So the question is regarding that. Why, or what is the reason behind that? So here it goes like this. In the South Atlantic and Southeastern Pacific region, the tropical latitude, cyclones do not originate. What is the reason? Sea surface temperature are low, intertropical convergence zone seldom occurs, Coriolis forces too weak, absence of land in those regions. So option B you can eliminate very easily. because tropical cyclones are an oceanic atmospheric phenomenon. So here the answer is intertropical convergence zone seldom occurs in this region, South Atlantic Ocean and southeastern Pacific waters. So answer is B. Which one of the following leaf modification occurs in the desert areas to inhibit water loss? A question which is asked from the world climatic region, which you can easily understand from the second part of the GC Lyon. So this is an adaptation of the plant which is there in the desert is asked. What is that? Which of the following leaf modification occurs in the desert areas to inhibit water loss? So one is the hard and waxy leaves. Second one is tiny leaves. Third one is thorns instead of leaves. Select the correct answer using the codes given below. 2 and 3 only, 2 only, 3 only, 1, 2 and 3. The question was asked in 2018 and this is basically a very easy question. So here the answer is D. All the options like all the statements like hard and waxy leaves, tiny leaves, thorn instead of leaves, all these are the adaptive measures of the plants in a desert, especially the xerophytic plants. Next question, again one more question from the world climatic regions. Each day is more or less the same. The morning is clear and bright with a sea breeze. As the sun climbs high in the sky, heat mounts up, dark cloud forms, then rain comes with thunder and lightning, but rain is soon over. Which of the following regions described in this above passage? Savanna, equatorial, monsoon and Mediterranean. The question was asked in 2015. So once again I'll read out the question again. Each day is more or less the same, which means there is no much differences in the temperature or humidity condition. Every day is the same. And from that phrase, sentence itself, you can easily get that which is this region. Either it can be a tundra region in the poles, or it can be a region in the equatorial area, which means equator has only the summer conditions, which means all the year around you have the same conditions in the climate. Second one is the morning is clear and bright with a sea breeze. There is an influence of ocean. As the sun climbs high in the sky, heat mounts up, dark cloud forms. Here they are talking about the cumulonimbus clouds. Then rain comes with the thunder and lightning. Thunder and lightning, that talks about the 4 o'clock showers. But rain is soon over. Which one of the following region is described in the above passage? It cannot be savanna, it cannot be Mediterranean, and monsoon is also not like this. So the option is, obviously it is answer is B, equatorial climate. So this is a question regarding the climatic region. Just like there was the previous question, this one is also a world climatic region. The previous question asked about the adaptive measures of the xerophytic plants, and this one is the they have given some clues regarding climatic region, and you need to identify the climate. And normally this is the way of asking question from world climatic region. Next, another question. Consider the following description. Annual and daily range of temperature is low. Precipitation occurs throughout the year. Precipitation varies between 50 centimeters to 250 centimeters. What is this type of climate? Equatorial climate, China type of climate, humid subtropical climate, marine west coast climate. 2024, a very recent question. So what is it? So the annual and daily range of temperature is low. Range of temperature is low. Annual range of temperature, which means on a regular basis or on a yearly basis, here the temperature is not having much fluctuation. Precipitation occurs throughout the year. Precipitation varies between 50 centimeter to 250 centimeters. So which means precipitation, even though it occurs throughout the year, it has a greater variation, that is a 50 to 250 centimeters differences there. So because of this particular statement, it can never be the equatorial climate. Since there is a rainfall is throughout the year, China type of climate is also not a part of it, because China has a temperate climate, temperate monsoon climate. Third is a humid subtropical climate. It cannot be an option. Next one is a marine west coast climate. And here the answer is marine west coast climate, which is throughout the year, it is always under the influence of the westerly planetary winds. Always there is a maritime influence is there. Annual and daily range of temperature is low, and precipitation varies between 50 to 250 centimeters according to the seasons. Fine. Next question is asked in 2023. Consider the following statements. Statement 1, the soil in tropical rainforest is rich in nutrients. Statement 2, the high temperature and the moisture of tropical rainforest causes dead organic matter in the soil to decompose quickly. Which one of the following is correct in respect of the above statements? Option 1, both statement 1 and statement 2 are correct, and statement 2 is the correct explanation of statement 1. Option B, both statement 1 and statement 2 are correct, and statement 2 is not the correct explanation of statement 1. Option C, statement 1 is correct, but statement 2 is incorrect. Option D, statement 1 is incorrect, but statement 2 is correct. So I'll read out the statement again. The soil in tropical rainforest is rich in nutrients. Rainforest soils are known for high or heavy leaching activities. The soil that is having an exposure of the heavy leaching will lose all the required nutrients from the topsoil, and it will be leached out and it will be deposited in the subsoil. So the first statement is a wrong statement. Equatorial regions are known for heavy rainfall throughout the year that makes leaching as an active soil forming process in the equator. So leaching is very active, so that nutrient content won't be there at the equatorial soil. So that is a wrong statement. And let's see the second statement. The high temperature and moisture of the tropical rainforest causes dead organic matter in the soil to decompose quickly. It is possible. So here the answer is statement 1 is incorrect, but statement 2 is correct answer. Regarding the geomorphology area of the syllabus, there were questions were asked for the past 10 years. Most 3 questions were asked. So what is the area of geomorphology? In geomorphology, you'll be learning about Earth's interior structure, distribution of oceans and continents, continental drift, plate tectonics, mountain building, volcanism, earthquakes, weathering, erosion, landforms of various kinds. So these are the areas that we used to learn in geomorphology. So let's have a look at the questions. So consider the following statements. First statement is, in a seismograph, P waves are recorded earlier than S waves. The second statement is, in P waves, the individual particle vibrate to and fro in the direction of wave propagation, whereas in S wave, the particles vibrate up and down at right angles to the direction of the wave propagation. Which of the statement given above is or are correct? 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, neither 1 nor 2. Again, this is an NCERT based question. NCERT, that is 11th standard NCERT question. There is the important features of primary, secondary and surface wave is given in detail. So this is a NCERT based question. Can easily answer this. First statement is, in a seismograph, P waves are recorded earlier than the S wave. Primary waves, P waves stand for the primary waves. They are the fastest among the body waves, so they can easily they can reach the surface or seismic centers quicker than the secondary waves. So that is a true statement. Second statement is, in P waves, the individual particle vibrate to and fro, and in S waves, the particle vibrate up and down. So it talks about when an earthquake, seismic waves, that is a body wave, passes through the body of Earth, how the particles within the body of Earth vibrate. When an S wave is passing, S wave causes the vibration of the particles up and down like this. Whereas if it is a P wave, when it is a P wave is passing through the body of Earth, it causes an oscillation of this kind, which means a to and fro. So the statement 2 is also right. So here the answer is both 1 and 2. Another question asked in 2024. Consider the following: pyroclastic debris to ash and dust, nitrogen compounds, sulfur compounds. So how many of the above are product of a volcanic eruption? It's a very easy question from the chapter of volcanism. There are There are different components of volcanism is explained. There is a distribution of volcanism is explained. Different landforms is explained. Intrusive, extrusive landforms are explained, and the materials ejected by volcanism is also listed in the NCERT. So this is a Pakka NCERT material. The question. So here the answer is all the four. It is a very easy question asked in geomorphology. So that's all about the questions PYQ analysis of fundamentals of Earth, that is a general geography, climatology, and geomorphology. Thank you. Oh my